The Academy of Interstellar Command believed in pressure. Not cruelty, not officially, but pressure. Every cadet who entered its halls understood one thing: weakness would be exposed. If it wasn't, someone wasn't doing their job. Instructor Varek believed in exposure. He was Zathrian, broad-framed, ridged skull, dense muscle layered under matte black scales. His species did not smile often, and when they did, it meant something unpleasant was about to happen. The training chamber was full. 40 cadets stood in formation on reinforced combat flooring. The walls were lined with impact panels, weapon racks, and tactical simulation consoles. At the far right of the formation stood Cadet Arya Solen. Human, female, new transfer. She stood straight, hands at her sides. Standard Academy uniform fitted cleanly against an athletic build. No armor, no enhancements. Dark hair tied back neatly, though a few strands framed her face. She looked calm. Too calm, Varek thought. He paced slowly in front of the line. "Combat authority," he said, voice low and resonant, "is not requested. It is taken." His gaze slid across the formation. Some species required demonstration. He stopped in front of Arya. "Step forward, human." She did. Smoothly. No hesitation. The rest of the formation washed with the quiet hunger of predators sensing weakness. Varek circled her once. "You have no augmentation," he observed. "No, instructor. You are lighter than most here." "Yes. You are aware that close-quarters dominance training requires physical compliance." "Yes." Her voice never shook. That irritated him. He stopped directly in front of her. "On Zathra," he said, "we test confidence through contact." Arya didn't move. He raised one scaled hand. "Flinching," he said, "reveals hierarchy." His palm came across her face. Not full force, but not gentle either. A sharp, audible slap. The sound echoed across the chamber. 40 cadets stiffened. No one breathed. Arya's head turned slightly with the impact. She didn't stumble. She didn't raise her hands. She didn't speak. Slowly, deliberately, she returned her face to center and looked at him. Her eyes were different now. Still calm, but focused. Varek leaned closer. "You did not flinch," he said. "No, that is defiance." "No," she replied evenly. "That is control." A murmur moved through the formation. Varek's jaw tightened. "You misunderstand your position," he said. "I understand it," she replied. "Do you?" That was the mistake. Authority did not like questions. Varek's hand moved again, this time faster. Another slap. Harder. Her cheek reddened instantly. The cadets watched for anger. For retaliation. For weakness. Arya inhaled slowly through her nose. Then she spoke. "Instructor." "Yes." "You will not touch me again." Silence thickened. The words were not shouted. They were stated. Varek's eyes narrowed. "You forget where you stand." "No," she said quietly. "I remember exactly." His hand came up again. But this time it wasn't a test. It was ego. The third strike never landed. Because Arya moved. Not wildly. Not angrily. Her left foot pivoted. Her weight shifted forward, not back. Her right hand rose, not to block the slap, but to redirect it. She caught his wrist mid-swing. The motion was precise. Minimal. Efficient. Varek felt it immediately, the subtle torque at his elbow joint. A warning. He tried to pull free. Arya stepped inside his frame. Her shoulder aligned with his chest. Her hips rotated sharply. Her right elbow drove upward into the soft seam beneath his lower jaw ridge. The strike was compact. No wasted movement. No wind-up. A sound cracked through the chamber. Not bone-shattering, but something deeper. A neurological shock delivered through structure. Varek's eyes widened. His legs disconnected from his command. His body lifted slightly, then collapsed backward onto the reinforced floor. He did not brace. He did not roll. He hit flat. Hard. And did not move. The chamber was utterly silent. 40 cadets stared at the impossible. The Zathrian instructor, the one who had broken Atalm's shoulder during last cycle drills, lay unconscious on the mat. Arya stepped back immediately. Hands open. Non-threatening. Breathing steady. She did not posture. She did not advance. She did not look proud. She simply waited. 3 seconds. 4. 5. Varek did not rise. A Nethrix cadet whispered, barely audible. "She severed neural flow." Another murmured. "No." She interrupted it. Security alarms triggered softly along the walls. The training chamber doors slid open as 2 armored Academy officers rushed in. They stopped short. Instructor down. Human standing. Formation frozen. One officer looked at Arya. "Cadet. Report." She answered calmly. He attempted third contact after verbal warning. "I disengaged." The officer looked at Varek's still form. "You disengaged?" "Yes." Behind them, Varek groaned faintly. Movement returned slowly to his limbs. He rolled onto his side, coughing, eyes unfocused. The officer crouched beside him. "Instructor, did you authorize escalation?" Varek blinked hard. He replayed it. The warning. Her stance. The moment his balance shifted forward. He had leaned. Too far. He looked up at Arya. She stood exactly where she had stepped back to. Not threatening. Not mocking. Just present. "She warned me," he rasped. The chamber absorbed that. The officer stood slowly. Medical team inbound. Varek pushed himself to a seated position. His gaze never left Arya. "You moved before impact," he said hoarsely. "Yes." "You read my center shift." "Yes." "You targeted underplate." "Yes." Each answer was steady, controlled. Varek exhaled slowly. Then something unexpected happened. He laughed. Not mockingly. Roughly. Painfully. "Class," he said, still seated on the floor, "observe." The cadets straightened instinctively. "That," he said, nodding toward Arya, "is authority." The words stunned the room. Arya did not react. Varek rose slowly with assistance. He stood in front of her again. Not close enough to touch. "Why did you stop?" he asked. "I made my point," she replied. "You could have fractured my jaw." "Yes." "You did not." "No." "Why?" She met his eyes. "Because the goal wasn't to dominate you," she said. "It was to end the contact." Silence spread like ink through water. Varek nodded once. "Class dismissed," he said. No one moved at first. They were recalculating. Because what they had just witnessed wasn't rebellion. It wasn't rage. It was boundary enforcement. And it had taken exactly one move. The Academy did not panic. It recalculated. Within minutes of the incident, the training chamber recording was flagged, archived, and transmitted to command review. Not because an instructor had been struck, but because he had been dropped. That distinction mattered. Instructor Varek was escorted to medical, conscious but quiet. Arya Solen was not detained. She was asked, formally, to report to Review Chamber 2. She walked there alone. Cadets parted without being told to. Not fear. Not hostility. Something else. Respect sharpened by caution. Inside Review Chamber 2, 3 figures waited. Commander Zathrian, head of tactical doctrine. Professor Karish, combat physiology analyst. Human liaison officer Maritanen. Arya stood at attention. Cadet Solen, Commander Zathrian began, voice neutral. "You are aware that striking an instructor constitutes a severe disciplinary breach." "Yes, Commander." "You admit you incapacitated Instructor Varek." "Yes." "Do you regret it?" There was no delay. "No." The room shifted. "Explain," Karish said quietly. Arya met his gaze. "I regret that it escalated," she said. "I do not regret stopping it." The human liaison remained silent, watching closely. Commander Zathrian tapped a control. The footage replayed in holographic detail between them. The first slap. Arya's stillness. The second. The warning. The pivot. The elbow. Frame by frame. Karish leaned forward. "You delivered a mandibular nerve interruption," he said. "Clean. No structural fracture. No follow-up." "Yes." "You calculated force restraint mid-strike." "Yes." Commander Zathrian narrowed his eyes. "You had time to calculate?" "No," Arya replied. "I trained it." The room fell quiet again. "Where?" Zathrian asked. "Earth," she said. "That is not sufficient. Close quarters defensive discipline. Urban boundary enforcement." Karish tilted his head. "Civilian training?" "Yes." The implication hung heavily. If civilian training produced this level of control, what did military produce? Commander Zathrian changed the projection angle. The moment before the elbow strike. "You warned him," he said. "Yes." "You expected him to continue." "Yes." "Why?" "Because he leaned." Karish froze the frame. Varek's weight distribution was clearly forward. Dominance posture. Aggressive center commitment. "He did," Karish murmured. Arya nodded. "He was testing escalation. And you ended it." "Yes." The human liaison spoke for the first time. "Did you feel anger?" Mara Tannen asked gently. Arya paused. Yes. The room stilled. And I did not let it drive. Commander HFY sat back. This academy trains dominance hierarchy, he said slowly. Many species interpret physical contact differently. Arya's gaze didn't waver. Humans don't. That sentence struck harder than the elbow. HFY steepled his fingers. You could have broken him. Yes. You chose not to. Yes. Why? Arya inhaled once. Because the goal wasn't to win, she said. It was to end it. Silence deepened. Karesh deactivated the projection. Your action was proportionate, he said quietly. Commander HFY turned to the human liaison. Your species enforces boundary with precision. Yes, Mara replied. We teach response under restraint. HFY nodded once. Very well. He stood. Cadet Solan will not be expelled. Arya did not move. However, he continued, Instructor Varek's conduct requires review. That was unexpected. Mara's eyebrow lifted slightly. HFY continued. Dominance training does not override consent protocols. This was oversight. The words would ripple through the academy faster than any punishment. Arya was dismissed. But the real consequences began elsewhere. Later that cycle, Instructor Varek returned to his office before the swelling had fully receded. He stood in front of a mirror, jawline bruised beneath his lower plate. He replayed it again. The warning. He had heard it. He had ignored it. That was the error. Not her elbow. His lean. A knock sounded. Enter. Commander HFY stepped inside. You are not suspended, HFY said. Varek nodded slowly. I expected censure. You will receive formal advisory. That is acceptable. HFY studied him. You understand what occurred. Yes. State it. Varek did not hesitate. I mistook restraint for weakness. And I leaned into dominance without structural control. And she corrected you. Yes. HFY nodded once. You will adjust curriculum. Varek's eyes sharpened. Adjust. Boundary protocol integration. Cross-species doctrine update. Varek's lips tightened slightly. She is to instruct? In part. Varek let out a slow breath. Good. 2 days later. The training chamber was full again. 40 cadets. No laughter. No whispering. Arya stood at the front. Not alone. Instructor Varek stood beside her. The atmosphere was different. Sharper. Intent. Varek addressed the class. Authority, he began, voice steady, is not the same as contact. He turned toward Arya. Demonstrate stance. Arya stepped forward. She placed her feet shoulder-width apart, adjusted her center slightly. Notice weight distribution, she said calmly. If someone commits forward without balance. She shifted, showing the micro-angle. The correction does not require size. The cadets leaned forward. She approached Varek. He leaned intentionally this time. Slow. Predictable. Arya placed 2 fingers lightly at his wrist. See the angle, she said. The cadets watched closely. She did not strike. She stepped back. This ends contact without escalation. Varek addressed the class. If you ignore the warning, he said evenly, consequences escalate. He looked at Arya. She nodded. Then, without warning, Varek committed forward again, controlled, rehearsed. Arya pivoted and delivered the same elbow. But this time she stopped short. Millimeters from contact. The air between her elbow and his jaw hummed with potential. The cadets understood. The strike was not rage. It was math. Varek straightened. Class, he said. What you witnessed was not rebellion. He paused. It was authority without cruelty. The silence in the room was heavier than before. Respect had replaced amusement. Fear had been replaced by understanding. A Kravox cadet spoke hesitantly. Instructor, if she had not stopped? Varek's gaze was steady. Then I would not be teaching you. The weight of that settled deeply. Arya stepped back into formation. Not elevated. Not isolated. Integrated. Academy Bulletin. Internal Memorandum. Doctrine Revision Notice. Effective immediately. Physical contact and dominance training requires declared intent. Verbal boundary warnings must be acknowledged. Cross-species hierarchy assumptions are suspended. Human cadets demonstrate high-precision incapacitation capability. Recommendation: respect initial warning. The ripple spread beyond the academy. Word reached neighboring institutions. Human cadets were no longer categorized as low-mass adaptive. They were reclassified. Controlled response specialists.